Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to Spreeisms, my vlog all about mental health and finding ways to protect your peace. I'm Kirsten Spreewell, your resident therapist. In this vlog, I am in East Flatbush, Brooklyn, and I was at Bounce House Studios with music artist NajisDOPE. We were talking everything from parenting to having a crew to his music style and so much more. So let's get into it.
You grow from it.
Yeah.
You know, as long as you have like that growth mindset where you're like really actually trying to take things into like really say, okay, like how can I do better with this, or like how could I apply that to myself or my experiences, like then you can grow from it. So yeah, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, and I think for me it's also being able to look at things from a different perspective. Like that was the experience, and that's like our emotional mind talking about like how we were a victim to this situation, but why don't we change our like mindset to like, what did I learn from this situation? So for me, I'm always like, now with me trying to be like more holistic and more of a well-rounded person, I think I am trying to say, okay, what did I learn from this situation? Like looking from another perspective. My mom was a hustler. Like, she stopped working full-time because, like she wanted to be a wife to this guy who wanted to be a provider and have a wife, and have things taken care of and go to work, and, things are traditional and you get home.
Yeah. That sounds good though. Like,
and like, that doesn't make anybody bad or good. I think it's just like, that's me looking at both sides in like retrospect. It's like who am I and why am I who I am? Yeah. In that process that we go through when we're like in our 20s and like trying to figure it out.
Yeah, definitely. This is like the self-realization stage right here, Yeah. It's like front and center. Like it's like in the middle of all of our minds. Like we're all going through all the 20-somethings.
It's so important because I feel like, now I haven't got beyond 25, but I feel like who you decide you are at this point is who you're going to be. Yeah. Like your 20s is such a creative state that you can like turn into whoever you want to be. Yeah. But who that person is, you're kind of stuck with that person. But
you think so?
I think so. I think you evolve, but at the core of who you are when you're in your 45s and your 50s, I think this is just my theory, and I'll like check in later in like 20 years. Yeah. But like, I think, like who I am, what my brand is as a person to the core is gonna be who I decide I am now. And I can always rebrand and remarket and like switch things up. Yeah. But at the core of who I am.
So how much longer do you think you got until that window is closed? And this is who you are now, like from your age right now, huh?
I think like 4 or 5 years into your 30s. Okay. Like it's kind of like no more. Okay. Cool. And I think a lot of people have resentment about that because by 35 you've been done had a child. Yeah. And then once you have a child, like it's more about surviving. Yeah. And like making sure this child eats. Yeah. And
you spend less time.
You spend less time like building yourself or recreating or whatever. Yeah. So I think it's like an environmental thing. I think somebody who's unmarried with no kids at 50 can definitely recreate freely. Yeah. And rebrand themselves freely. Yeah. But when you have a family and you've been like seriously branded, like now you're always that person. Yeah. And people, it's hard to change. Like my mom with rebranding, like on the topic of rebranding, like it's hard for her to rebrand because in the past she's given her whole life to us. And like now, and she was free during the days and people asked for favors and she was able to like do stuff for people. And now that it's time for her to do stuff for herself, that's difficult to rebrand. But somebody who doesn't have like so many attachments, like I think is, easy. Yeah. I think it's easy to rebrand.
There's no real obligation there.
Yeah.
You're just to yourself.
I mean, I think that's why it's so important. Like these years are so critical and I think I'm hard on myself about that. But my mom really does, help guide me through that. Like, what are some positive aspects of like your relationship with your parents, or like how you were raised, parenting styles or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think is like the positive side out of it?
Yeah. I think the way my parents raised me, they definitely pushed me to be like, I could tell they wanted me to be smart. They wanted me to excel. I was always given like extra things to do, like, spelling. Like spelling was early. I would come home, I get $1 for spelling something right, like a random word.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, or like, and then I ended up actually doing spelling bees and winning like the borough spelling bee and going to regionals, and it's like, so they were definitely.
I didn't know that, or maybe you told me before.
Probably. So I was like maybe 4th, 5th grade. I went twice. I went 2 years in a row. One, I went to borough and I lost, and then next year I went to borough, I won, and I went to regional and I lost.
Oh, you were resilient though.
Yeah, I went twice in a row, and like it was. So I guess like they got me started with the words. My dad, he like the main thing that I feel like he really instilled in me was Jay-Z. And like as big as Hov is at this point in his career, like that's a lot. That's a big introduction.
Yeah.
And like he basically just gave me a handshake with Hov, with Reasonable Doubt, and like 7 years old, 8 years old, and I'm listening to, like The Evils and like Feeling It and Can I Live and like, In My Lifetime remix, and like
that's such a cool story.
Yeah.
Just gotta make that observation.
And I just be in a car, bopping my head. He's like, I know the words because I'm on it and I'm listening. He hear me saying the words and he's like, you don't know what he talking about. You know what he mean when he say that? You know what he talking about? No. And then he'll tell me, give me all the backstories and kind of relate it to his life and how he related to Jay and like, and
just
how
educate you musically.
Educate you musically and streetwise.
Oh, word.
Like just really connecting.
Okay.
Not even music, just really like real life and like really giving the context to the things Hope was talking about. Like, and that grew me up.
Wow.
Because now he's calling me, asking me, yo, what Hov meant on 444 on that line? Now you calling me to give him the annotation now. So
the tables have turned.
Yes. So that's definitely probably the biggest.
Or he could still be quizzing you. You think he's
plot
quizzing
twist?
you?
I don't think he's quizzing me. I think I think that I think that what he instilled in me grew bigger than what he was.
Oh wow.
And
so it's like the next level.
I think he literally made me better than what he is. Like and like that's not for me. I think that's for him. Like not for me to be better than him, but like
for him to know that he can do that.
Yeah,
Oh wow. So I ain't even thought about it.
I think
like
now
that.
That's what the dynamic is. Like, that we're living in that space. So that's probably the biggest thing for my mom. I think like all dads, like especially like that generation, like the 70s, 80s, New York City generation at this point now is a little bit more conservative than like this generation of millennials, and so sometimes dads can be a little like tough or not really as transitional with the times,
right.
So, but my mom was always kind of just like, like she never made me feel any type of way about any direction I was growing in, unless it was like to my detriment.
So let me ask you this, because like I'm curious, do you have any fears about being a parent? Like, since and you're like in this process of seeing like how much affects the kid even when they become an adult.
Yeah.
Like, what are your fears? Or if any, or because I know you said you was confident.
Yeah.
And I think that's dope.
Yeah. I don't have like fears as far as like how my effect on them will be, because I think that the core things that we need to really have a consistent and respectful relationship with each other will like stop us from me and her from having like deep down things that we ever said or things like that, because I want to have a open communication with her. I want to you know, like have like an open space and really facilitate her being comfortable and trusting me, and me trusting her, and her knowing that, you know, it's a loving situation and a non-judgmental situation. And so I fear that just the outside world, you know, like I feel like sometimes as good as a parent may have tried, like, or as well as a parent may have like taught their child this or that or everything that they could, the environment always plays a factor. And like there's always a possibility that the environment can like turn your child's life in a different direction stronger than you can. It's like Mother Nature almost. Like like, you know, like it's like you can't fight the water. Like it's just gonna come and it's gonna just affect you no matter how strong the house is built. You feel me? If that water is strong enough, bye house.
Oh my gosh, so we were talking about this when I first saw you, when I met up with you, and then we were talking about this earlier today too. So like with that, because you know that like your only job is to be a parent, like everything else is like, you know, that's not in your control. Like what's inside your locus of control is just what you do as a parent, right? And so like how does that process of like knowing that you are responsible for who you are no matter what's going on with the world,
absolutely, like
does that come across?
That definitely comes across, and that's the scariest thing, because I feel like at the end of the day, like you said, to make the statement clear, you are responsible for who you are, right? And that's like a really multi-layered statement. And I think that my fear comes from my analysis of the masses. And I feel like my analysis of the masses tells me that that statement is not, you know, like a consistent thing in everyone's minds that like we're living by right now. You know, so I think that the general influence is anti that. Oh, okay. And I feel like there's always a stimuli that's anti be who you are, be responsible. Because honestly, they want us to be irresponsible. Yeah. They want us to lose control. They want us to need them for something. You know, like, so like they have to break us down, break down the self-esteem, make us feel like give us bad food, give us bad jobs that aren't enough to live, and then like make us make bad decisions so we can need them. And like, so that's really my job, just to let her know that that's the fight that we're in together. Yeah. You know, I'm not just here yelling at you and just making you, like, we're in this together. Okay. You know, and like that's different from how I was raised. This is what it's like in this life. You feel me? And like we're on the teams together. I'm not just a dictator and that's just telling you what to do and you just follow my rules and because I said so. Yeah. You know, I remember a lot of the things because like I said so. I remember that because I said so, and I remember as a child feeling like when I get old and I have a child, I'm not gonna just tell them because I said so. I'm gonna want them to know why. And like as an adult now, I still feel the same way. Still feel that way. I still feel the same way. It's so funny. I'm like the same way. Like I still have spats about stuff that's like when I was 14. Like bro, it's over with. But it's like it made us who we are. Yeah. Like I'm curious if any like because you kind of been like really analytical and been able to like read into stuff. But I'm wondering, like, has being a parent made you more analytical or more like introspective about things because of that fear? Yeah, absolutely. I think I feel like because of that fear, I have to prepare for it, and like I have to like battle it, and like so I gotta know all about it, and like so I like obsess about it and like And now that translates into like me paying attention to everyone and paying attention to what's going on in the world and paying attention to everything that kind of, you know, with women and like just all of the issues with women and in relations with men and society and like underpay and you know, harassment and all of those intricate things that like fuck up the community. Oh, sorry. Okay, Chris.
No, you're good.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Spreeisms, no cursing.
Spreeisms. So,
nah, I try to keep it real. Like, why not? Yeah. It's a combo.
Yeah.
This ain't, we ain't got no lines.
Yeah, I'm being articulate, I guess. Sometimes the emotions come out.
That's
but,
good.
Yeah, I just feel like I'm way more sensitive to everything that I hear that's in relation to something my daughter could go through.
Right.
You know, like depression, and I'm actually even more inclined to know about my sisters and like what they're going through. And it's not like because they weren't always there to begin with, but just knowing that I have my own coming, I just feel an unseen like level of like care and like compassion, like, you know. So that's definitely sinking in for me right now. I definitely think that's making a big effect.
Yeah. Do you feel like positive, like hopeful?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always optimistic for the most part.
Okay. Like as far as the future goes, because we're talking about like all of these things going on, right? And I told you my homeboy who's having a baby, or had a baby yesterday actually. Yeah. Like he was really nervous, like about what's going on in the world. And for me, I'm not a parent, and I'm not on my way to being a parent right now. So I'm just like, I didn't really get it. It didn't click for me.
I think it's like a helpless feeling, because you know that like you have something that you're here to protect, and then you feel like there are like forces that you cannot protect your seed from. And I think some people are so scared of that they almost like sometimes rather not have them than even like have to possibly be helpless against something outside of their control. Yeah. And that's like a deep thing, you know. It's a valid feeling. You have to. That's a valid conflict within yourself. For me, I feel like I think that a lot of it comes with, for me personally, being comfortable with who I am and what I can bring to the table, and like you said, I'm confident, and like in any other situation, maybe like if we're talking about basketball or some random stupid like thing, when you come off confident, sometimes it's like cocky. Yeah. But if there's anything that I would ever want to be like unapologetically cocky and confident about, it's like that I have something to give to a baby to grow and be a great woman. Like that's, you feel me? That's what you're supposed to. That's some shit you're supposed to be confident about. Yeah. Like, you know, so like I feel like in order to be like that, I had to be confident in who I am. And like I think that I've spent a lot of time really building that, and building on my craft and working on the music. Writing has like been amazing for like my self-awareness. It's a journal, so I'm just writing essays and essays and essays about my personal experiences. I have no choice but to self-reflect. And
so talk about like your music. Like, is it usually, and this is for people who are watching obviously, is your music usually like introspective, or like is it about Brooklyn, or like what is your music about?
My music is about my experiences for the most part. Sometimes I can get a little fantasy a little bit and just kind of like create an experience for you, you know, but for the most part it's always coming from a place of something that I went through. For the most part, even if I may bend it and like make it just to make it fun for a track, it's still coming from somewhere real, definitely. That's how I started. You know, I started from poetry, and that came from just expressing my feelings. So it was always from a real place. It wasn't, and not poetry, I guess, can be fiction, I guess, but it was really self-reflective poetry. Right. And it was true to myself and just almost journal entry like. And that just became structured and had a different twist to it, and now it's music. So it's definitely introspective. Yeah. Like 90% of the time. So I think that's definitely helped me to become this confident man, and that would, and also like just dealing with women, having different relationships, sexual relationships, platonic relationships, I don't know, auntie nephew relationships, mom son, all relationships with women, and just like analyzing those, and even analyzing my friends and like their relationships and just people in general. I think I got a lot to offer. I specifically have seen and analyzed the things that I see women missing when they don't have their dads in their lives to really, guide them along the way consistently. And like I've experienced things with women who could have used that, like not to be dismissive of their situation, but just in that moment they needed their father, and that's okay to say, because the father should be there, So I feel tons of responsibility from a lot of different angles to make sure that I'm the best I can be.
So with like all this self-reflection, is there a project coming soon or something? Am I gonna get some exclusives?
Yes,
I appreciate the last exclusive because I kind of had to leak it a little bit.
I sent her one of like the most like introspective songs that I've done. I have a new project coming. It's called The Summer Things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the first time I've actually publicly announced that.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, so that's another exclusive.
I'm so cool.
Yeah, I've just been hashtagging it, but I haven't really actually announced it fully and let people know it's coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Summer Things is here. It's just the sum of things, We're summing up the summer. I always have an interesting...
This was a good blowout for the summer this weekend.
Yeah.
You did that.
Yeah.
You and Samira.
Yes. So we summed up the summer with, celebrating the, arrival of my daughter. And that comes with a lot. Me and her mother have been together and dealing with each other and knowing each other for the last 10 years. And I'm 27 in New York City, and I'm socially active. And,
yeah. That's a great way to put it.
From 17 to 27. You go through a lot of changes.
Yeah.
That's a lot of different. You're 18, 21, 25. That's a lot of different transitions, a lot of different spaces you're in. And we were able to really keep a love that feels really complete and pure, and
that's big.
Now
Goals.
10 years later, Khaleesi is like the 10-year anniversary.
Oh shoot.
Gift.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
10-year anniversary is big.
Yeah. So The Summer Things is basically summing all of that up. It's getting the good, the bad, the ugly. Talking about my life, everything with, what's going on in my life with my relationship and how we've come to arrive at baby Khaleesi and being a parent now.
So we can learn a lot, like people who are going through relationship stuff can learn a lot from The Summer Things.
Absolutely.
Can we get an exclusive advice, like for me working on stuff, or for anybody watching?
The most general advice, like with me, like my advice is to like make people look within themselves. Like I try not to give my opinion too much on it personally. I try to like be objective and like get you to like look outside of yourself and like ask yourself questions so that you can solve it.
You'll be a good therapist then.
Probably.
Yeah.
My dad tells me all the time.
But
I think I'm my dad's
sometimes
therapist.
People want to know like what to do. Like you already know how I ask for advice. I'm like, tell me what to do.
Yeah. And
I need like a task to complete.
And I think that would be part of, that's part of being a good therapist. And, is also knowing when to kind of ramp up like hey, do that.
Yeah.
Because some people need a rub, some people need a little push, some people need a little guide. Like, all right, let's go. So I think, so The Summer Things is definitely going to have a little bit of everything. I'm trying to be as honest and like objective as possible. I'm speaking from like perspectives of being heartbroken as a man, and listening back now to what we have. It's like it's literally sounds like a woman could say it, and it's just like all of these R&B songs that's like out, and like it's like the same things that I felt is like the exact same things that a woman would say on any other record. Like,
Wow.
so I feel like women will be able to like rap the record, and it directly applies to them too, and it applies to me, and I'm a man.
Oh shoot.
And it's about heartbreak and betrayal and those same things that are like the stigmas of like women's music or whatever, you know, like. So I think that's an
That's so
interesting.
progressive.
Yeah, I think, you know, I think it's. I'm also probably big against like hyper masculinity.
Yeah.
Like, because I want men to be comfortable with themselves, and I think that will help them get more in tune with their emotions.
Yeah.
And that will help with their communication and relationships with women. So, and that will help a lot of other things, and you know, continue.
Yeah.
So, I think that's another thing. You know, just being open with myself and like doing things that are uncomfortable, so that other people know that it's okay to just confront it and elephant in the room.
Yeah, so I never really asked you this before because I didn't really know like your perspective or that any of that was like intentional or like you know like a movement for you.
Yeah.
But would you say that like that's the way things are going, or you think that people are having like difficulty making the shift, like in pop culture or like you know on Black Twitter or like you know?
Well, I think that, you know, I have a lot of like little, like micro movements, I guess you would say, like compared to the brand or whatever, like NajisDOPE, just things that I really believe in that are, like probably have an official movement behind them right now, but I haven't like really like addressed it actually, but like there's a lot of things that, you know, I'm just putting in place just to put the work in and really put the time in before I start like preaching about every single thing, you know, like, but with as far as that's concerned, the hypermasculinity issue.
Yeah.
I think it's something that's like happening slowly, like as far as accepting it. You know, like in my experience, going to high school, the openly homosexual men were like somewhat cool with the heteros, but there was still a sense of like kind of stay away and almost isolation, you know, almost like a social like ostracized of like they're like on the outside.
Yeah.
And it might not have been like that in every school, but in comparison to today's high school, it's really intertwined. You know, the kids are really like accepting of each other. Like, there's not.
I'm seeing that.
I don't really see a lot of it's really way more inclusive.
Open.
Yes, it's way more inclusive and accepted than it was when I was in high school, and that was only 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's like 9 years ago. So it's like, okay, like that, like for me in my experience, that feels kind of quick, you know, and a lot of things are happening consistently. So it's like if you're not accepting it, something else is about to happen that's about to make you more uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You better keep just
like in a minute,
well.
like that's just gonna be the way things are.
Yeah. So, but I don't. My motivation in, you know, like speaking about it or addressing it in any way is not really because it's struggling, but just to, you know, just be a soldier in the fight for it.
Yeah.
You know, just be another person, just like facilitating it.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah.
That's so revolutionary. Activist.
Yeah.
Rapper.
You know, a little bit of everything. You know, just passionate.
What else? Yeah. Passionate.
That's really what it is for real, for me. Just passionate, just being compassionate. I think that like with all of the things that's going on right now in the world, and like I think empathic relationships is, and
what is that?
empathic relationships, that is the key to survival, first and foremost. But second of all, my understanding, I might not give you the Webster's dictionary definition.
You got it. You teach it from your perspective.
Yeah, but it's like love and honesty and openness and just compassion and caring for one another and having empathy. You know, like if you know what empathy means, it's just basically just caring about other people other than yourself. You know, and just expressing that. You know, and sharing care for someone else's situation. You know, and I think that with everything that we're going through in these times right now, as diverse as we are as a people, especially in this country, and as stacked as our problems are, culture to culture to culture, We have to be able to care about one another because we live amongst one another. You know, we are way too inclusive and diverse in population to not care about the next man.
Yeah.
If it's all individualist, then it will just burn down and everybody will just perish in some type of way. But we have to care.
Yeah, I think that's a lot important as far as dealing with like making sure, and I talked about this on my suicide prevention vlog, but just making sure like people that are around us are good.
Yeah.
And like just having a sense of increased compassion for the people around you, the people in your family, because we're all going through like all these universal struggles.
Yeah.
How do you how would you say your core is? And I know this answer, but like just to talk about or open up the conversation about knowing the importance of a circle, because I think you have that. And even with parenting or from whatever topic we've talked about in general, like I think a lot of having a good circle and a good team is important.
Yeah. That's like the biggest thing, you know, and it takes a while. You know, we go through cycles where, you know, you're around different people at different times in your life, and like you learn things, and like you go through the transition of like feeling like you're maybe losing friends, but you really didn't, but I grew apart, but your relationship was just redesigned.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe they didn't know that and you did, or maybe you didn't know that and they did. You know, you go through all of those different things, but for me personally, I have you, for one, has been inner core for like ever since we met, pretty much. Like
pretty much.
It was, and that's really the way it's been with everyone who is in that inner core for me. Not to say that you can't grow like trustful relationships over time, but the longest tenured people, like my friend Cassandra, like Jamir, these are people I met over 10 years ago. It was like that.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that like I have a really good strong core of people. We have like open minds who are really just analytical and just like click, but like all the other outer cores and those people that may like come off toxic at some point and mess it up for the rest.
Do you have like a remedy? I have my own theory or my own version, but like a remedy for toxic relationships, like anything that's worked, like on getting out of toxic relationships. I think for me, I have trouble letting go of things, so that's why I'm asking. Yeah.
I haven't really had many toxic situations per se. I feel like the situations that I did have, it was tough for me because it was tough to first experience how to have like a tough conversation with someone that you weren't that made you feel a situation that made you feel stronger than what you even really knew your relationship to be.
Yeah.
So it's like I feel this way and we need to have this conversation, but I didn't even know that like our relationship was this deep. So like this is kind of intense for me to even really have this kind of conversation with you, you know. And I think that I had to overcome that boundary.
Wow.
That was a stepping stone from like my growth in dealing with like toxicity.
Yeah.
And because it's hard to, let's say if you feel like a situation is toxic for you, but the person doesn't see how it may be toxic, you know, and now you have to like deal with their feelings, and you know, and at a younger age you're dealing with people's feelings too, you know.
Yeah.
You're not understanding that everybody's feelings, their feelings that they have to handle. And you know, so that was really tough, you know, but I think I don't really have a remedy now.
Yeah.
I think I just like try to like see people for who they are based on their actions and hold them accountable, and just like go step by step with that. Like
I'm really big on that. Like in my profession we say meet the client where they are. Like for me, I do that in my relationships. I just like meet people where they are. Like, all right, like, you know, and it can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing, because sometimes you got to cut it off. Like, some things are deal breakers and I still meet the person where they are.
Okay.
You know, and
Yeah.
so I think that's something I struggle with, like, you know, just being stern with my values. So I'm working toward that, because that's like, you know, I talk about like what your brand is.
Yeah.
Like, is that are you gonna be inconsistent with your values? Like, if you're a brand, you're not even really a brand if you don't have your core values together. Like, in order to put a brand together, you gotta have the core values.
Yeah.
So are you even together?
Yeah.
You know, so I'm always like telling myself, like,
Absolutely.
please get your life.
Absolutely. You have to, you know, and the interesting thing about that is that, you know, we create these platforms like Spreeisms or like NajisDOPE, that allows us to, you know, give our brand to the world.
Mm-hmm.
But like in reality, like at the root of everything, that's your brand with or without Spreeisms.
Exactly.
You know, like I feel like I'm not just dope even if I wasn't a rapper.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know, like I'm trying to be together like that regardless of whether like I'm doing it for the cameras or not. So
that's big, because I always think about that when it's like, how am I going to come off to other people? But you're saying like it don't even matter about other people.
Nope. For me, I am who I am because I feel like once I realized that, you know, I'm doing this for good cause and good purpose and not for myself and for everyone else, and that I feel like I have a responsibility because of my gifts to share.
Yeah.
Then I have to go full strength with my confidence and like my like just assertiveness, like, because it's not selfish, like it's strong and it's like, you know, I don't care what you think, but it's still, it has to be done. Like, and people with forward progressive ideas, in the beginning most of your interactions will be from people who don't get it yet.
Yeah.
You know, so like you're gonna get way more backlash than acceptance earlier on, you know, because
that's so hard. Yeah, that process.
So it's like when you're fucking like coming in from outer space and like the atmosphere is like coming against you and it's like, like you still,
so much
you know,
resistance.
and then finally when you get through and you're in the air, that's like when you made it and it's like, whew, I can breathe.
Yeah, you know? You definitely will prevail.
Yeah. So that's how I feel about that.
That's such a good analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, like I told you, one of my issues is I like to hold on to things and relationships even when they probably like no longer serve their purpose, or you know, things are just toxic or whatever it may be. But when I'm trying to like progress and like rebrand and trying to work on me, and things don't mesh well, like my new attributes or whatever don't really make sense in this space anymore, you know, I feel like I get a lot of resistance. I feel like I get, you know, and that hurts me because I'm like, I'm just trying to be better, you know, whatever I think better is at this point. I'm trying to be that, you know, and, you know, sometimes we apologize, sometimes we don't change because people want us to stay the same, or sometimes we just go through like, you know, that inner angst of like trying to develop and, you know, negative energy coming your way. About it, like about your personal progress. People got issues, or whatever that may look like, or just, you know, things are testing you to go back to your old self. What do you think, like, what do you think that does for you? I mean, do you experience that, or like, for me, I think it's like, you know, a struggle that you go through that can like mess you up.
You definitely go through it. It's like we're human at the end of the day, no matter, you know, how strong and confident you want to be. So like to be confident means that you even had to, like, in my point of view, conflict with maybe like something that wasn't so confident. You know, like that's what this, I feel like the self-esteem comes from the battle, like of conquering whatever it was that might have been holding you down. You know, and so like I guess it's always just a consistent battle. It's always so, and in war, you know, you lose battles and you win some. So it's a lot of wear and tear. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's tough sometimes to keep your concentration on what you know, like the big picture is.
Yeah.
Even when like you're putting your like real emotional self into something, you know, and it's like, all right, I'm putting my hardest into this, and like putting my real life into it,
Mm-hmm.
and like you're still figuring out your real life.
Yeah.
You know, like your brand is your life.
Mm-hmm.
It's just how you like reflect it.
Exactly.
But you're still analyzing it at the same time as you're reflecting it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that's always gonna have ups and downs, you know.
So how do you cope with that? Because I mean, you're a rapper, like you want to come up for real too. You've done some things. You're doing shows. You putting out projects and products.
Yeah.
And
Working.
I know. I mean, I don't know from experience, but that's like, that's a struggle. And then when you're trying to do better and progress, you probably have people that can't come with you, or is everybody coming, or like what's the thing?
Or who would it be that you wish would want to come that doesn't want to?
Oh, that too.
Or like the people that don't even think you should go.
Mm-hmm.
The people that just would rather you decide to do something else because it's more stable, and those being people that you trust and people that you would want to really like support you in every way, because especially things that you're confident in.
Yeah.
You bring something to someone and you're very confident in it, and they're not feeling it. It's almost like alright, like you don't trust my judgment with what I feel a good idea is for my life. So it's like you don't trust me with my life right now to not put your support behind something that I genuinely feel is okay.
Yeah.
Forget what you think about it. Forget what you think.
Do you trust me?
Yeah. Do you trust me to make the right decision for myself? Like despite what you know of the situation, and that weighs on you. But the way I cope, I think I just like give myself blinders and like tunnel vision with the mission, like because that's always gonna be there for me. It's always gonna be there. It's always gonna be something that's like discouraging you from like staying consistent with your brand and like who you are, and like being yourself and being who you are and being responsible for who you are. There's always gonna be something against that. But for me, I just like engulf myself in doing it so much so that like it doesn't, like those people don't exist like enough to be able to really make a difference in my flow.
Okay.
Yeah. And I just like overindulge in what I do so that like my universe really consists of people that's helping facilitating that.
So how do you like, what is one of the things that you do to self-care?
Well, my hair, just shampooed earlier. I was trying to deep condition, but I had to come here and make a spree. But I'll deep condition when I get back in the house.
Okay.
But hair care, that's definitely been, this is the longest that I've grown my hair in my life.
Really?
So
yeah, the shrinkage is real too, because when it was braided yesterday before you took it out, like, or the day before, it was like hanging.
Yeah, but
I know that struggle.
And I'm understanding that struggle. You know that struggle. That's another thing that me as a man could again now like relate to a woman more. Like when understanding hair.
Yeah.
That's something that we're naturally insensitive to because we don't understand it, but we have to like deal with it because we're close to them. But we're not coming from a place of really understanding how it works and what it takes. And like I just want to be prepared for things that I can be prepared for and know like what it takes. Yeah. Like, anything that I can, like I want to know what it took to do that, and I have a new respect for like anyone with hair. So I guess that would go along with women, obviously.
Okay. So you take care of your hair. That's one thing, and anything else you do? I know music feels like work. We've talked about that. Music
feels like work, but it is therapeutic.
Okay.
I actually have moods now where I understand that I need to write. Like, and I didn't start out knowing that. but I have like these real like moody, real blue, real dark blue moods, and like I get really to myself, and I get really irritable, and I start feeling like like there's nothing that could really help, and now I realize that I need to write and I need to let something out. So like, and that's some of the music that I've made. So like, I can't call that work, but in general, it does feel like I do have to be consistent and really like work hard.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really feel like the 9 to 5 that you hate.
Yeah.
Work.
Okay. Because that's something different. That's misery.
Yeah,
That's
you
misery.
just gotta I just gotta make that clear, so work gets misconstrued.
Yeah. I know.
But it feels like therapy for that. So that's definitely something that relieves things. Let me see. So that's another coping is actually right now, I don't think I've been using many coping methods. To be honest, I think I've been.
I always get on you about that too.
Yeah. I actually think that I've been just dealing and like living in the situation. And just like seeing what's coming out of it, not really like doing things and being proactive in different ways. Yeah. Other than that, really.
Okay. Well, you're responsible for that part.
Yes, I am. I'm just being upfront.
Yeah. No, and I appreciate that, because a lot of times, like with the other vlogs I did, like I was more interested in like sharing something that I know. And I think with you coming on, like it just being a conversation piece, I'm able to, kind of talk about some of the things I've gone through. Yeah. Or the things that I struggle with. Yeah. Because it's something that all of us go through. Definitely. And especially with the place that I am in my life right now, I don't think I can like ever just be on some, I'm gonna drop knowledge, like, and that's all I'm gonna do. I definitely want like my friends or like.
You mean from like a humble perspective, like as far as like.
I mean, as far as I don't want to act like I know everything.
Okay.
I just want to also. Document the struggle that I personally go through. Yeah. Soak everything up and get information from other people, and just be more of a listener. Like. Growing up, I've always been a talker. Okay. So that's my thing. Like, I talk a lot.
So what are the things that you feel like you want to work on personally that can like help Spreeisms and your brand grow? And I guess that's like kind of like saying, how can you just make yourself a better person? Because Spreeisms is you.
Yeah, I need to be more like, I need to be more consistent. Like, I would love to do videos every week, but I make excuses that I feel are super valid. Yeah. And really, I think that if you want to do something and you want to, like I was saying earlier, like, your brand is, what you represent. Do you want to represent, like, inconsistency? Yeah. And, like you said, that's, like, your real life, too. Like, whether nobody is watching or not, like, are you inconsistent? Are you consistent? Like, are you dependable on yourself? Are you able to depend on yourself? Are other people able to depend on you or no? Yeah. So, like, that's my biggest thing right now, working on consistency. But, I mean, I've been going through this whole stage of, like, self-reflection. And I'm just trying to figure things out. Like, this is so new to me. Like, everything in life is new. And so I'm just, like, working, towards being able to handle new experiences better. And learn from them in enough time, where I think probably my anxiety comes from, because I always think there's never enough time. Okay. But yeah, I mean, I guess consistency would be the biggest answer right now.
That's a good one. You definitely don't need that.
Okay, so when do you have a release date for the summer things?
I don't have a release date because I'm being patient with it. Yeah. The product is really, really close to me, like emotionally, so I don't want to shortchange it. I think it's coming along the way it needs to, and I'm not gonna rush it. It's an art piece, it's not like a business move. Yeah. we're gonna do business when it, when and before it drops, but that's all part of the marketing scheme.
Yeah.
Right now, we're still building the product. You know,
Right.
so.
And you do really good work when you take your time and stuff.
Yeah, my best
Like,
work.
yeah, like you and like people in general,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
can really relate to that.
Yeah.
Alright, well I hope you guys all got some gems from that combo, that little chit chat with one of my closest friends, NajisDOPE, and I want to thank Bounce House Studios, NajisDOPE in Brooklyn for your amazing hospitality. I had a great time while I was out there. Might choose a new city in the next couple years, something. Until next time, I wish you guys all your version of success, self-love, and peace.